We are pleased to be joined by Roger Davenport, who is the transplant coordinator with our good friends of the New Jersey Sharing Network, and Kathy Mercado. We are honored that you're with us. You're the mother of an organ and tissue donor, your daughter Melissa.
Yes, sir.
Before we go any further, by the way, you'll see important information up throughout this segment about your organization. Could you tell us about Melissa?
Oh, I don't know where to start. Melissa was 6 weeks old. You know, I had a very rough, shaky pregnancy. I was high risk the whole entire time. They told me she was going to be born with Down syndrome. She was going to be sick. She was going to be premature. And finally, on January 17th, she was born a healthy 7-pound, 8 ounces baby girl. You know, she brought tears and joy and everlasting moment that I'll never forget to not only mine and my husband and my children's eyes, but to my whole entire family's eyes.
And at 6 weeks, you were taking her to the hospital?
Yes, I was taking her to Hackensack Hospital. She had a high fever of 101.5, and she was very congested. And as any mother knows, high fever and, you know, newborn babies can mean a lot of things, but the most important, it can mean infection. So I was taking her to Hackensack Hospital, where they checked her out, and after checking her, doing an examination and everything, they told me that there's nothing to worry about and she was good to go home. So called my niece up, she picked me up, and on the way home, figured, you know, I was gonna go home, pick up my kids, and just live on with my normal life. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. On the way home, you know, the front driver's side wheel came off, rolled off to the front of the car, and we were paralyzed on Route 80. We were there for a minute. We called 911, called my husband, let him know that I was stuck in the middle of the Route 80 and I had no way of getting off. At that moment, I remember my niece saying, "They're gonna hit us, Melissa." And that was the last thing that I remember until I was pulled out of the car and the ambulance arrived.
And you lost Melissa?
I didn't lose her right then. She was taking her last breaths in my arm, and she was transferred to St. Joseph's Hospital, where she probably lasted 2 more days before they told us that there was nothing.
Do you have any idea? Well, let me ask it this way. When did you know? When did you and your husband know that you would want to donate Melissa's organs?
I remember this day like it was yesterday. I remember the nurse coming in and saying somebody wanted to speak to us about organ and tissue donation. They introduced us to Roger.
That's when you met?
Yes, that's when we met. And I remember them asking us, you know, are you guys interested in organ and tissue donation? And I just remember the glimpse of my eyes met with my husband. And with no hesitation at all, we said yes. You know?
Why?
I didn't want another mother shedding the tears that I was gonna shed. I didn't want another father, you know, having to carry their daughter's casket. I didn't want another siblings crying the tears and asking why or when their sister was coming back. I didn't want another family shattered like our family was.
Describe your role.
My role is to interact with families like the Mercado. I'm Sharing Network. We facilitate these organ and tissue transplants, and I was called that day in anticipation. The hospital's responsibility is to identify somebody who's not doing well, who may be a donor. So when they call, I was the one that was dispatched, and I remember that day as well. I remember it was a very difficult process for me. For as much as this is not about me, I remember, what do I say to a mother who's losing her 6-week-old child? It's a concept that I can't wrap my brain around. So when I first sat and spoke with Kathy and her husband Angel, I was nervous, I was sweating, I was stuttering, I wasn't really doing well with it. And the level of resolve that the two of them had was just awe-inspiring.
What did their decision to do what they did, when they did, how they did?
Mm-hmm.
Melissa saved the lives of how many other people?
2 other people. She saved the lives. Her heart was donated to another baby, I believe was about a month, 3 months old or so,
yeah.
4 months old. And Melissa's kidneys, both together, went to a young lady in California.
What does that mean to you?
What doesn't it mean? It means that another mother doesn't have to bury their child. They can see their child take their first steps. Trust, I have other children, but every children is special in their own way. Every child is. And she will get to see her son walk and crawl and say his first words because of my daughter. And that single mother of whoever knows how many children, you know, she'll be able to kiss her kids as boo-boos. She'll be able to live on for her kids. And that's an honor in itself.
You know, people may not understand what a transplant coordinator does. I mean, you made that happen. How do you make that happen?
Well, it's kind of a process. The whole donation process, we like to say, well, it'll take anywhere from 24 to 36 hours.
It's not exactly like what we see on TV.
No, it's nothing like what we see on TV. I can't even watch most of those shows, quite frankly.
They don't get it right.
Not very often do they get it right. When I've spoken to schools, I've come kind of with my own 5 steps through which it is. And the first step is just the evaluation process. The first job of a coordinator like myself and my colleagues is to come on site at a hospital, any of the 58, I believe, hospitals in New Jersey, and just determine right off the top that this person could be a suitable donor. The next step, which is sometimes the most difficult step, is the interaction with the family. I worked as an ICU nurse for a very long time, and I really considered coming to the Sharing Network, and the fear of talking to families is what kept me from doing it for quite a while, because that's the hardest part. In a strange irony, I actually did my pediatric ICU rotation in the same ICU that Melissa was when I was in nursing school, and I decided then I could never do pediatrics because it's just too hard.
Right.
I couldn't watch children be sick. I couldn't watch parents cry like that. So
That was at St.
at the same hospital, but this was many years prior.
At St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph's.
Actually, the irony is we're also here on the campus of St. Joseph's,
Right around
Yes.
St. Joseph's, yeah.
where we're taping these programs, but go ahead.
And what came around is one of the most poignant moments in my entire career total happened back in that same ICU.
And
Was
the other
this
process,
interaction.
The other process?
Now going through the rest of the process, excuse me?
The rest of the process
Going
is?
through the rest of the process, once we've interacted with the family and we have consent to go forward with donation, the next step is donor management. And basically we have to maintain her. We have to make her organs as best as they possibly can for donation. By that point in the process, of course, we know that Melissa and other donors have been pronounced brain dead, but their hearts are still beating, their lungs are still working because they're still on the ventilator. So we're going to give fluids and medicines and everything to make her heart as strong as it possibly can up until the time of donation. The fourth step in our process is the allocation process. Basically, it's our responsibility to find a home for each individual organs using the list that's maintained by the government. And the fifth step is the surgical recovery, is actually following all the way into the operating room.
And what's interesting is you have become totally involved in the Sharing Network.
Yes,
How
I
so?
have. I do the 5K every year.
The 5K, tell everyone what that is.
It's a walk in New Providence in June, where we walk in honor of those who've given the gift of life,
Raise a
like
lot
my
of money?
daughter. Yes, all the money goes for, organ and tissue awareness
Right.
to help other families like we have, and to advocate the word in any way possible.
What's that like for you?
It's an honor. It's an honor to see all my family support me and come together and cross that finish line and know that we did it, not just for my daughter, but for others that given the gift of life.
I need to ask you a question. You are a leader in so many ways, both of you are, but I want to ask you this. We've been asking people what the most important leadership lesson is that they've learned in their lives, not just CEOs of companies or hospitals or colleges. What's the biggest lesson you've learned about what it means to be a leader?
Biggest lesson that I've learned: being a leader does not mean just leading. It's not just about leading. It's about having passion to be able to show others and lead by example. That's being a leader. So I wouldn't be a leader if I wouldn't go out there and advocate what I do. So what kind of leader would I be to tell others to say yes to organ and tissue donation if I don't? What kind of leader would I be if I don't get out there and spread the word, but yet want others to go out there and spread the word about organ and tissue donation?
Her word is so much more powerful. Her advocacy is so much more powerful because of what she and her husband, Angel?
Yes.
What they did, correct? Their message means more, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Part of the reason I've come into this is just throwing statistics out. I look at
A few seconds left, go ahead.
the waiting list for kidneys is more than 50% of them are Black or Hispanic people on the list. Yet the donor designation rate in these communities are so much lower, and
So
I'm here to.
Blacks and Hispanics need the organs, but
They need to give too.
a lot of work needs to be done there, right?
And we're
Yes.
doing it every day.
A lot of work, but not a lot of people are willing to give in.
You did.
I sure did, and I'll do it every day.
You are our partners with your organization, with the Sharing Network, and because of the work that you and your husband are doing every day, you're making a big difference. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
One on One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One on One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Virtua, New Jersey Council of County Colleges, County College of Morris, PNC Bank, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Activists in cooperation with the American Medicine Chest Challenge, and by Steve and Elaine Pazicki. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.